All right, folks, we're back. Kevin's Corner, July 6th, a Tuesday, coming at you. And like Zach Pascal is to the Colts, Ross Lubbers is to Kevin's Corner podcast. Reliable, faithful. He might be playing right now at December NFL status, which he might not be 100%, but his shoulder pads are on, his helmet is strapped up, and he's ready to go. Ross, happy 4th, and thank you, as always, for what you do for this podcast.
Of course. Happy to be here again. Thanks for having me. Regardless of my condition, I'm here. I'm ready to go. I'm excited to get into to the pod today.
Clocking in, as always, Lubbers Family Vacation. We are coming at you late Tuesday morning. Obviously, sound quality not pristine, but we know you guys got it out just like we are right now. And as always, we're sticking to one pod per week. Right now, 3 weeks from today, training camp, Grand Park, kind of crazy. I know I gave some thoughts late last week on the podcast. One thing that I'll stress before we get into today's pod, you guys know full well I'm not getting any paycheck from the Colts, but really, it's unlike any team in the NFL that has access to training camp like the Colts do. 19 practices at Grand Park, nearly a month. That's a lot longer than we've seen in years past, and it's free. So that's absolutely awesome. I love it. I can't wait, and we'll be out there with coverage daily from camp. We'll have video content as well. I know a lot of you enjoy that, so we'll have daily recaps up on the site, but if you missed it, the schedule is up on the website, so check that out, 1075thefan.com. Today's pod, as always, Twitter questions in July. Oh, boy, yeah. To say they can get a little bit out there would be an understatement. So we'll hit on those, and then we're going to get into the indispensable Colts. You guys know it's an annual series that we love doing on the podcast. It's changed a little bit. Our number one the last 2 years is now he's retired. And Anthony Costanzo. So we have a new number one to get into. And before we start, Ross, we have the match at 6 p.m. today. It is Aaron Rodgers and Bryson DeChambeau against Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson. Your pick.
I can never pick Bryson DeChambeau, so gonna go with Philly Goat and Tom Brady. I think I dislike Bryson DeChambeau already more than I ever disliked Tom Brady, which is
wow.
Which is a strong statement to start a Colts podcast.
I was going to say, from a diehard Colts fan, that's aggressive. We've got Aaron Rodgers at a 4.6 index, has not broken 80 this year, it looks like. Tommy is an 8.1, and he's broken 90 just a few times. So glad those two are sticking to their normal jobs.
Yeah.
Because those handicaps, I'd love to play both of them at those scores. I
thought Brady was a little bit lower than that.
I didn't know Rodgers was a 4.6.
Yeah.
And also shout out to... certainly one of the greatest Americans of all time, Joe Chestnut, for his win. 76 hot dogs, just a specimen, an absolute athlete. If the Colts could get, Carson Wentz to sniff Joe Chestnut level, they might win 10 straight Super Bowls. So shout out to him. It was electric watching that a few days ago. The cable went out. Ross and I screamed about as loud as you can scream. You would have thought Tiger Woods was walking up the 18th hole at Augusta and CBS had pulled the plug. So
honestly, added to the excitement.
It did. We know Kobayashi was behind that. I respect that rivalry. It's Manning Brady times 10. So hope all of you enjoyed that. Let's get into it, Ross. Indispensable Colts.
Alrighty, as you mentioned, now no more Costanzo, so the person who headlines our list is DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, and honestly, Ross, I think if you're just talking his own play, like it ranks right up there for me. Like I think he deserves that spot, but then you look around him, and I wrote an article last week about saying he's the unquestioned leader of that D-line group, and I had a few people chirping at me on Twitter. Well, he was that last year. You could make the argument it was Justin Houston.
Yeah.
Who broke down this team after pregame warmups every game. It was Justin Houston, but certainly Buckner was a leader last year, and now he is that guy. And if he goes down, I mean, shit, it's a bunch of question marks. In terms of having that top flight guy. I think there are some intriguing names on the D-line, but no one commands a double team like Buckner. No one produces like him. He's an all-pro for a reason. So when you need disruption out of your defensive line, I think he's deserving of the number one ranking. And again, when we say most indispensable, these are the guys you can't afford to lose.
Yeah.
The guys you don't want to see injured. And to me, DeForest Buckner is number one on this list here in 2021.
Do you think from a vocal leadership perspective, Buckner will get a C on his chest this year?
Yeah, I think he should. I was on with JMV last week, and it's kind of another annual summer conversation. Who would you put as the 4 on the side of Lucas Oil? And I always say, you know that your team's not elite when you have to put the horseshoe up on the side. It's like, oh boy, come on now. We can't be saying thank you for the memories to Adam Vinatieri for a third straight year. You kind of got to take that one down. So we know Hilton is on the I-70 side. The other I-70, I'd probably throw up Leonard, and then on the what is that? Georgia Street? No, South Street. South Street. I'd throw up Nelson and Buckner.
Yeah.
And I guess Carson Wentz, but no, you got to prove it. Jonathan Taylor, we're gonna need one more year.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I do think there is a bit of vocal. I mean, it's not crazy vocal. I mean, he's not Leonard vocal, but there's just a presence to him that you like.
Yeah.
And you want to follow.
Yeah.
So let's go with Mr. Buckner at 1.
Okay. Talking about people you want to follow this man into any street fight. Quentin Nelson.
It's funny, Ross. I forgot that last year I didn't put him even in the top 5,
really?
Which is just kind of laughable and probably shows you the state of mind that I was in. I've got him at number 2, though, and honestly, a major reason for that is the guy that is no longer next to him. To me, I just look at that left side of the line, and if you lose Nelson, and obviously this is Eric Fisher dependent, we'll see if Fisher cracks this list, but boy, I mean, you talk about a massive hit. So certainly he is an all-pro, but the dip from him to Danny Pinter or Chris Reed or whoever you have there, it's not as absurd as it was last year, but it's still significant. And it's significant because you did lose a really, really good player at left tackle. So I think your run game means so much with Nelson that is another reason why I was such an advocate for him staying at left guard. I think he's a weapon in the run game from a polling standpoint to really either side. So I have Nelson at number 2. Again, last year, it was probably foolish not to have him in the top 5, certainly with how the depth played out, but I thought Ryan Kelly and Anthony Costanzo kind of made up for it. And I thought their drops from Costanzo to LaRaven Clark to Ryan Kelly to, a rookie in Pinter, I thought that was more immense than Nelson's drop from starter to backup. So let's go with Big Q at number 2. Oh boy, that rhymes.
Big Q at number 2.
I'm on my game.
All right, moving down the list here. I'm sure this person was on your list last year. Darius Leonard.
He was not.
He was not.
Wow. Well, actually, I take that back. I might have had him at 5. I would have to look that back, but he definitely is rising. We got him at number 3. And Ross, this is really due to the fact that you don't have Anthony Walker anymore. I think we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast. Linebacker and safety, you feel great about those 2 starters. And I say linebacker because, when you played nickel so much, it's just 2. Bobby Okereke and Darius Leonard on rookie deals as of now. They are, that's a great tandem. Julian Blackmon and Kari Willis, that's a great, great tandem. Their backups.
Yeah.
I don't love it. So I'm going to put Leonard here. And another thing that I think after 3 years, I always felt like I appreciated his ball production, but I see Okereke not have as much ball production, and it makes me appreciate Leonard more.
When you say ball production, is that just nose for the football, around the ball all times? Yeah,
I would say more nose for getting the football,
gotcha.
Like just taking it away. And yes, I mean, he's around it a whole lot and obviously makes some plays from a blitz standpoint, but his ability to take it away, I mean, it's just – you can't take that for granted. And we've talked about in this defense, when you are going to be kind of a bend but don't break defense, you have to have the ability to just straight up stop some drives with those turnovers, and 53 does that. He really does it better than any linebacker in the league. As much as I don't think he's a complete rundown linebacker, he makes up for a lot of that in just what he does in finding the ball. And that's, again, that's the argument when you get into Levante David, Bobby Wagner, whoever else you want to throw into that top linebacker in the NFL group. Leonard might not be the first down thumper that some other guys are, but when it gets second and third down, he is able to find the ball a whole lot. And you got to have him stay healthy. I mean, if Darius Leonard tears his hamstring tomorrow and he's out for a month and a half, EJ Speed, Zaire Franklin, it's just –
we'll just have to go sign someone.
Right. I mean, that's a really good point. So it just doesn't make me sleep as well at night. So, again, when we do this series, depth at these positions are such a big part of it as well. I mean, Costanzo, was he the best player on this football team? No. You can make the argument he wasn't top 3 or top 4. But when you go to Costanzo to LaRaven Clark, that's Tiger Woods to Kevin Bowen. That's a steep drop. So Let's go with the Maniac at number 3.
Yep. The next person, which I believe would be on any team's indispensable list, is our new QB1, Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz here. I hear you. I hear the arguments that you can push Carson Wentz higher on this list. I acknowledge that when the backup has played as many snaps in the NFL as Ross and I, and has put on a jersey in the NFL as much as Ross and I, then certainly, like Wentz could very well be up there. I guess a part of me is just like, if Wentz bottoms out, it's not the end of the world to see Eason in there. And I know that doesn't really make sense in terms of wins, losses, and in the present here and now. Last year I think we had Rivers 3rd on the list, and that was with Jacoby having over 30 starts in the league. So the fact that I only moved the QB down 1 spot and the backup is vastly more inexperienced, I know is a head scratcher for some. So when I see 2, 3, and 4 on this list, it's pretty close. To me, Buckner's a clear-cut 1. Mm-hmm. You can talk me into moving these guys up and down, but part of me is just a little bit of the intrigue with Eason. And I know that gets people excited, but it's just one of those things where your backup is not a placeholder anymore. Your backup does offer some potential, like again, and I pause for a reason there of like, it's not, whatever, Mac Jones backing up Cam Newton, like it's not a 1st round pick, but it is a guy that I think we're all very, very curious to see here in 3 weeks, and certainly in the month of August. So yes, if you're talking purely play, like if Carson Wentz is the QB, what's the win total? Sure. Vegas sets it at 10.5. If Jacob Eason is the QB, your win total is 5.5. That's massive. Yeah. But again, to me, the backup here is at least someone that I'm like, all right, yeah, let's see what he can do.
And to your point, Eason's potential is not defined yet.
Right.
He has potential, and that's the intrigue about it, but we don't know what that ceiling is just because we haven't seen it.
It's funny. I've filled in on radio quite a lot the last few weeks, and I get a question often of like, what do the Colts think of Jacob Eason? And folks, they think of Jacob Eason very similar to what I should say the question is more of what do the Colts know about Jacob Eason? Mm-hmm. They know about as much as the fans. Yeah. I mean, sure, meeting room is a meeting room, but Ross, I always say this, and you're a great person to ask for this. You go from practice to a game. I don't think there's a position in sports that takes a bigger jump than quarterback.
Yeah.
You're literally wearing a red jersey. You cannot get touched. Like, can you imagine like playing a contact sport and being like, oh, I'm good. I'm not going to get hit today. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, offensive line, sure, you could go there. Running back, taking 25 hits a game is a whole lot different than practice. But I just think the speed, the tempo, fear isn't the right word, but just the fact that, oh shit, Aaron Donald can hit me week 2 versus, Tyquan Lewis can't hit me.
And not only that, once Aaron Donald hits you, you have to get your ass up, your butt up, and
we can say ass. Okay. Yeah, this is a tough podcast. Okay. Come on now.
Get your ass up and mentally get into the next play, right? And you don't have the time to process like you do in practice after that hit. So yeah.
I like Eason here at 4, but again, Wentz here at 4, but I can listen to some other people on moving them up.
Okay. Rounding out the list here, we've mentioned Costanzo a few times already, and we're going to round out the list with his replacement, Eric Fisher.
Yeah, the fact that his injury situation is what it is, and I think we have a Twitter question that we'll get to pretty early on this. I had to push him a little bit down the list, but the position still means so much, Ross, at left tackle, and your depth, has it improved? I think it has. Has it improved, immensely, which I know it's difficult to do in the NFL. That's why I put Fisher 5th on this list. The offensive line group means so much to this football team. You've invested resources into it like no other. You have to put 2 offensive linemen on this list. Mm-hmm. I just think that's where you're at, especially when your quarterback, isn't Mahomes. Yeah. That unit has to play very, very good football for you this year. And, it's such a debate that we have. Why doesn't Chris Ballard make more win now moves? Why is this a 10-year rebuild? Things like that. The Eric Fisher move, that was a let's go hoist it January 2022. February 2022, I should say. That's a win now. That's a Super Bowl thought. That wasn't Charles Leno. That wasn't Christian Darrisaw. It was Darrisaw or Kwity Paye. at 21 overall. That was the debate in that room. They felt like Paye's character, I think, separated themselves, and I think in their back pocket they always knew Fisher was, a strong possibility. Then they signed him a week after the draft, and so I got Fisher 5th. I know people will throw, Xavier Rhodes is a name I thought about, Ross. Ryan Kelly was a name I thought about. Michael Pittman as well. What was a name? I don't have Ty. I just feel like you've got a little bit more depth at wideout. I don't know if you have enough, but to me, I thought Eric Fisher deserved to be on this list.
Unfortunately, our fan base knows how indispensable that position is. Right?
Yeah.
You saw a record crumble when Costanzo would be injured. So
I mean, you and I were watching the game last year down in Florida, Ross. That Pittsburgh game when T.J. Watt did what he did, and obviously you were missing Costanzo and Braden Smith in that game. I as much as I think your O-line depth has improved, as much as Carson Wentz is a more mobile QB, there will be times this year where in unison everyone yells, "Get rid of it! Get rid of it!" You're going to get that more than you got it with Phil.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the quarterback, and I'll be curious to see how that storyline also plays out this year. So, I'm trying to think who else I thought about. Kenny Moore. I think is another name you could put on there. He's a unique corner in that he gives you inside, outside help there. I had Ryan Kelly 4th on the list last year. The fact that Danny Pinter started in an NFL game means a lot to me, and so that's why I don't include him on this list. But again, feel free if you guys want to debate that, send us some thoughts, send us some questions on that. But that is our indispensable list for 2021. Any major pushback from you on that?
No, I think I only one, and we talked about this, or you mentioned this. I don't know if I would have Wentz as far down as you had him. I think I would maybe put him 2nd on this list. I think it would still probably be the same 5. But I think I would go Buckner, Wentz, Nelson, Leonard.
And I think that is what our fan base, I'm expecting our listeners to agree with you more than me on that. My thought is, me, I'm always kind of one eye thinking about future too.
Mm-hmm.
I had Rivers 3rd, Jacoby behind him, obviously as the backup last year, and Jacoby had over 30 starts. Mm-hmm. But to me, it was like, oh boy, if Jacoby goes in the game, we already know. We know the story. With Eason, you don't know it, which is risky, but there is potential reward there. So I can definitely hear that.
And I totally get that, the eye on the future. But if I look at this list, right, you have Buckner All-Pro, Nelson All-Pro, Leonard All-Pro, Fisher All-Pro. So it's almost a win now roster in that perspective. So the drop off between Wentz and Eason is, like you said, 5.5 wins versus 10.5 wins. You get this team in the playoff, they have a run in them, they have the roster to do that. Obviously, Eason shatters that. Yeah,
super fair. Again, we'll get into position battles. I think on next week's podcast, coming to training camp, the most pressure Colts here in 2021. We could have Ross Lubbers back on the pod here in a couple weeks. We'll have to see how the next few minutes go. Put a little pressure on him right now. He's on 17T. He's 6 over. He knows he's got to go. He can only bogey one of the last 2 to break 80 here, which is big.
Let's get into Twitter questions.
Let's do it.
All right, sticking on Eric Fisher, Ice J Hammy is the Twitter handle.
Oh boy,
Ice J. Yeah. He asks, have you heard any update on Eric Fisher and his injury and recovery?
Yeah, it's funny. I got this morning on the Fan Morning Show. I think we're at that time where Eric Fisher's got to get on the field, and Eric Fisher's got to. I don't know if he's sparring on July 27th. Certainly not, but at some time in the month of August, you've got to engage, dummies on him. You've got to just engage him with certainly humans that play defensive end, and that's where you have to test out this Achilles. So I think we're in a bit of a kind of a wait and see period here. Ice J, I will say this, or Mr. Hammy, whatever you want to go by here. This is purely my gut, so don't take this as like educated. There's an ounce of education here. I just don't see Eric Fisher being on PUP to start the year. Like, I know a few of my colleagues have mentioned that, and I don't know, maybe they've got great insight and I don't. But I would just be surprised. 6 weeks?
Yeah.
I'd be a bit surprised by that. Again, the Colts feel like he was ahead of Dayo Adangbo, so, if he's ahead of Dayo, are you looking at, 2 guys that are going to miss, 10 months post Achilles? And who knows? Maybe he'll get into camp and, he'll start to engage people in blocks and whatnot, and it just doesn't go according to plan. But if I was guessing, I'd say the start of October. But again, that's a big, big guess for me there, and hopefully we'll find out, early August.
Alrighty. Hank acknowledges that Malik Hooker will not be returning. He says it appears that Malik Hooker will not be returning, and he calls out that the primary reason from his perspective is injuries. His question is, would it be fair to consider giving him one more year to prove his value? After all, he was a first-round pick.
Yeah, I just, that's the X that you just both need to part ways. Where does he fit? Is Malik Hooker playing in special teams? Is he a core special teamer? Like, I understand. And honestly, I think it was somewhat civil. I don't think we call Eric Ebron's breakup with the Colts civil. Mm-hmm. Just look at Eric Ebron commenting on Instagrams.
Yeah.
I think the Malik Hooker thing is a tad more civil. And it's a shame it didn't work out. I will repeat this time and time again. Jim Irsay should have fired Chuck Pagano when he fired Ryan Grigson. Like, that makes no sense to me. Why you keep Chuck for one more year when Chris Ballard sat in his office and thought to himself, why the hell are we playing a 3-4 defense? And, who knows? Could Hooker fit in multiple schemes? You would hope. Does he fit in a little bit more of a single high scheme? I think he does. So, yeah, no, I can't see it. Now, is depth at safety a question? Sure. But to me, this is kind of just more of a somewhat civil, mutual see ya.
It'll be interesting to see if he gets a starting gig elsewhere.
Yeah. And you know what? When he was healthy, Ross, I don't want to act like he was, dog shit. I mean, he was a solid safety. It just, number 15 pick overall safety?
Yeah.
No.
Moving along here, Kevin asks, hey, KB, thanks for the weekly pods. As I'm listening to this week's pod, so I think he's referencing last week, and you're discussing of Jonathan Taylor, what do you think's more likely here? Jonathan Taylor to get 2,000 yards, or JT and Marlon Mack to combine for both, or to each get over 1,000 yards?
Boy. You'd think if I create a burner, I would change my name, not to be Kevin on saying that. Thanks for the weekly pod. Yeah. I think it's JT for sure, 2,000. And now, let me really hammer this home, Ross. 2,000 is a massive number.
Is that all-purpose or just rushing?
I assume he means straight rushing.
Yeah.
Henry did it last year, but still, I mean, that is, whew.
Yeah.
For both of them to go over, you're really going to have a Taylor injury, I think. Like, Marlon Mack is going to have to be the bell cow for
5 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say a month and a half. So, yeah, I mean, that's 6. So, yeah, certainly you and I are on the same page there. Boy, I'm so curious to what Marlon Mack's year is going to look like. I mean, part of me says a series and a half, but then I'm like, dude, Marlon Mack ran for 1,000 yards 2 years ago, and hell, in that opener, I know it was just 6 touches, but he looked like he was great. Obviously, coming off the Achilles, we'll see. But yeah, I think it's a slam dunk of those two.
Yeah,
I think it's JT over 2,000, which again I fully acknowledge 2,000 is a huge number, but you would need some injuries to occur for JT and Marlon Mack both to get over 1,000, and Nyheim Hines would have to really be scaled back too.
Yeah,
that's a good one though. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Randall asks, okay, so Ryan Ramczyk, I think I said that right. Ryan Ramczyk got his money.
Yeah, he did.
He got his money, got paid. Smith will get similar money. So Randall wants you to put your GM hat on and tell me what the hell you're going to do to avoid paying $60 million plus to offensive linemen per year over the next 5 years.
Well, yeah, boy, that is a lot of money. But honestly, there's nothing you can do, Randall. Like, Chris Ballard is a believer in trenches. He's a believer, and that's how you're going to build. And he's a further believer now that we're going to do 17 games. He really feels like that's only grown. And this gets into our roster building belief. You had Bill Polian and Ryan Grigson, and their thought process was this, which, again, Bill Polian and Ryan Grigson have probably talked, 3 times in their lives. But anyways, both of them are on the same page in this belief. You build your offensive line internally with Dollar General pieces. Nothing against Dollar General. I've shot there many times in my life, but you know what I'm getting at. Yeah. Chris Ballard thought that initially, and then he watched Jacoby Brissett get hit 7,000 times in 2017, and he's like, screw that, man. We got to go shop at, I don't know. I feel like it was expensive at Abercrombie and Fitch back in the day.
Oh, wow.
I don't
Name
even know.
Drop.
I don't even, you know me, I'm Old Navy through and through. And we've seen teams do different things. The Dallas Cowboys, how much do they invest in Tyron Smith and Zach Martin and Travis Frederick and Lyle Collins? And that offensive line obviously didn't lead to massive team success. So you can find Super Bowl winners that have like a variety of it. It's just kind of where do you fall in that category. Now, in terms of Braden Smith, I think Ramczyk got 5 for 96. That's a big number.
Huge.
He's a stud. He's the best right tackle in football. I say Braden Smith, I think 5 for 75.
It's huge still.
It's big, certainly. But Randall, if this is your belief, you have to follow through on second contracts. I get some people are like, and I trust me, there's some of you that are like, oh, you let Leonard walk. Oh, you let Nelson walk. I'm like, well, why are you drafting these guys where you do? Like, we've heard Chris talk about this. Draft and retain and homegrown talent. And I want, fans walking around the concourse with, jerseys on of players and all that stuff. Like, I totally understand that. But they are going to pay. And what does that mean, Randall? Draft. You got to continue to draft well. And I know this is a debate that I had with one of my good friends, Franklin Thurber, a few days ago, and he strongly disagreed with me on that. I think Quentin Nelson's getting the most money ever of an offensive lineman.
Ever. What's that number?
It's 5 for over 100. I don't know what it is. It's massive. I'm trying to think what Trent Williams got. Was it 6 for something absurd? But I just think even though Quentin Nelson is playing guard, you hear Jim Irsay talk about him. He talks about how I just talked about Mr. Chestnut earlier. He is obsessed with that.
6 year, $138 million for Trent.
Jesus, that's massive. Oh man, now that when I hear that out loud, I kind of regret saying what I did. But no, I'm gonna stand by it. I think Nelson is just gonna get a crazy, crazy amount. And look, leverage can go two ways. The Colts can say he plays guard. And Quentin Nelson's agent can say, you drafted him 6 overall, and he's made 3 straight All-Pros. Him and Barry Sanders are the only 2 to do that in the NFL. Leverage can go two ways there. So it's not happening this offseason. But, man, you talk about things that'll be I got a lot of things that are interesting to watch, but that's one of them.
Good for Big Q. Thanks for the question, Randall. Moving along to Josh here. He was listening to Dockage the other day, and Dockage asked Chappie a great question this week that he wants your thoughts on. So he says, let's say we miss the playoffs this year with a sub-500 record, but by season's end, our perspective has somehow shifted so that we consider the Colts a pass-oriented offense. Would we still consider the Wentz experiment a success and feel good about him from the future, assuming that there's no major injuries to QB, running back, wide receiver?
Wow. Were there major injuries to the O-line?
Yeah.
Holy shnikes, Josh. That is what happened to the run game. Well, what happened to the O-line? That would be my first thought.
Sub 500 is bad.
That's bad. I cannot see 8-9 where this pass offense succeeds or, pass oriented to steal your phrase, Josh. When you look at the 4 areas, run offense, pass offense, run defense, pass defense. To me, run offense has the highest floor. Like, it's easily that run game. Like, that's the thing that I think you sleep well. So, Josh, with that record, I can't see how you would walk away with Carson Wentz being the definite answer. Like, I just, I guess under your scenario, possibly, but boy, yeah. Did Fisher tear his other Achilles and Quentin Nelson break his leg? I don't. Yeah, I cannot see. I know we can debate record, QB, win-loss, all that good stuff, but I can't. No.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
It would be really tough to digest that.
Yeah.
Season's end.
I just can't.
Bryce asks, can you give me one undebatable reason why I should not take Justin Taylor overall for the first
Jonathan.
pick? Or John, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor.
Justin Taylor sounds like a Backstreet Boy.
I know. Gosh, sorry about that, fans. Jonathan Taylor with the first overall pick in fantasy.
First overall?
That's
yeah.
bold.
Does Derrick Henry look like me right now? I
think my one undebatable reason is Marlon Mack.
Yeah, which is a reason. I would say, did Derrick Henry what happened?
I guess, yeah.
Derrick Henry doesn't get hurt.
He
doesn't get hurt. Obviously Dalvin Cook would be the other one. Now Ross brings up a good point. The whole splitting carries. To me, I think you're at this point. I think you're at the point with Jonathan Taylor where you treat him like you treated Frank Gore here. I mean, Gore was the bell cow. That's what I think Jonathan Taylor deserves. So, yes, the whole splitting of carries and spreading it around and all that stuff you hear from Frank Reich a lot, which is true, that would worry me. But honestly, more of the debate is Derrick Henry. I mean, who the hell is the Titans' backup running back?
I don't know.
I got nothing. So, and sure, some people might say, oh, they're going to throw it more to Julio, but you might counter and say they're going to have more, boxes that aren't eight deep, that they had in years past. So,
Titans are going to be scary.
Yeah, Bryce, JT top 4 picks, something like that for me, but can't go 1.
Okay, Kat here has a long question, so bear with us.
All right.
Kat says, hey, Kevin, first Twitter question from a longtime listener in Santa Clara, California.
Let's go. Welcome, Kat.
Across the nation. Love your stuff. Thanks for being my favorite indie sports dude.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
A point and related question. Frank Reich has been more responsible than anyone else for the Colts' past 3 starting quarterbacks, Jacoby, Rivers, and Wentz. Given the timing of Luck's retirement, he can be excused for Jacoby, but it seems likely that the team chose Rivers over Brady because of their past relationship and now chose Wentz over other options for the same reason. I'm a fan of Frank Reich and intrigued by Wentz, but I think it's worth pointing out Frank's influence given that he was not in Ballard's initial top 8 candidates in the post-Pagano coaching search. Alternatively, what if McDaniels had not pulled out? Assuming Luck still retires and McDaniels were still here, does Brady choose Indy over Tampa? And if so, do the Colts win the Super Bowl?
Wow.
A lot to unpack there.
Wow, that's a lot. Kat, send in more questions. Seriously, there's a lot there. If you can shorten them at all, please do. But still, that was good. All right. This is my thoughts on Brady. Did Tom Brady want to live in the 317?
No, not at all.
We love Indianapolis. Terrific area.
Did Giselle want to live in
right,
317?
Right. I mean, come on now. God bless Geist or the White River, but it's not. It's not Tampa Bay. Now, as we've stressed in this podcast, there is feet to the fire, and there needs to be feet to the fire. You have made multiple decisions at quarterback. I don't think it was a Rivers or Brady sort of debate here. But I do think that Frank Reich is loyal. I think that that's a good quality to have, mostly. But there is a balance in, I had a buddy of mine text me, this is back in the off season of, is Frank stubbornly naive? It's certainly a way to look at it. You can love your kids and be absolutely, whatever. They're great and they can't do anything wrong and all that. But when you let that creep into business, that's difficult. And so I think Frank gets that, but think about his past. I mean, he's got a pastor, on his resume. They have conviction, they have belief, all of that. It's just part of kind of Frank Reich's DNA. The whole McDaniels Brady, I would still say no. I don't think McDaniels and Brady are that close, and the Colts would not have won the Super Bowl. They don't have Mike Evans, they don't have Chris Godwin, they don't have that D line.
Yeah.
So, no. And let's not act like Tampa Bay just walked through the NFC. I mean, they're a Jared Cook fumble away, and of course, this is coming from someone that had the Saints to win the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. They're a Jared Cook fumble away from being down 2 scores late in the third quarter in the Superdome.
Yeah.
And I know Breeze can't throw it from me to that wall over there, but I don't know if the Saints lose that game. So Tampa had a really nice season, but they still had to get on a run in the playoffs. And again, Brady had a whole lot around him, especially with that D line. So,
and like you said, there's no way Brady's coming to Indy.
No, I mean, where would he live?
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Eric asks, why don't the Colts get rid of the helmet painted on the 50-yard line and replace it with the iconic horseshoe? Think how cool our field would look with just a big horseshoe in the middle of it, or the retro logo with the helmet on the horse. The helmet has been there since day one in 1984. Ursay always says we have the best logo in sports, so why not use it? Love everything you do for the Colts fans.
Thanks, Eric, for that. Oh, boy, I need to see, pictures. I'm more of a visual person with this. I would like the horseshoe. Mm-hmm. I kind of, now that you say this, Eric, it is kind of weird that a helmet is on the 50-yard line. Yeah, Ursay certainly says the Colts are so traditionalist. They're so traditionalist with all of this. And I like tradition in a lot of areas, but I do like a little bit of an open mind, especially in 2021. So I have not heard any whispers of that changing. I can't imagine it would change, but yeah, I'd like the little logo action on it.
I agree. I think visually I'd want to see it, but I never even realized that it's just a helmet. Honestly.
I know. Honestly, the only midfield logo that comes to mind is the LSU Tiger Eye.
Yeah,
which just makes me think that like Coach O is ready to tackle me.
Yeah. Okay, Tyler asked, pick your favorite non-Colts head coach, 2 offensive and 2 defensive players that are your favorite to watch and root for, and why?
Oh boy. Coach, I've talked about this before. I love Bruce Arians and how brash he is and how aggressive he is. Just a normal human being. I'll never forget the Colts Christmas party one year. Oh, it was the year he was the interim coach, and just we're at the bar, and Bruce is like, "Hey, what do you want? You got to try this whiskey." And I'm thinking to myself, dude, it's 48 hours before you're getting ready to play a football game, and you're acting just like the common Joe. So yeah, BA will always kind of hold a little spot for me. As far as players, I really enjoy watching Budda Baker. I think he's super fun to watch. I enjoy watching that Cardinals team in general, and that's why I'm excited for that Christmas game coming up this year. I like Bobby Wagner and how he's kind of the quarterback of his defense. I enjoy kind of when linebackers, that's why I love watching Luke Kuechly when he played. Mm-hmm. So yeah, way back in the day, I go with Palomalu.
Oh yeah,
the hair. I know it's not a great moment for Colts fans. That interception that granted was taken away shouldn't have been taken away, but the Colts still lost that game. Yeah, who you got? You got anybody?
I think for head coach, I just am intrigued by Sean McVay. I love his energy. I love the different spin he's bringing to the NFL from a coaching perspective. Defensive players, I've always liked watching Richard Sherman. I think it might be position bias because I just love watching corners. And I love how he just stands toe-to-toe with anyone in the league and believes he's better. Offensive players, I got to go with Nick Martin.
Oh, here we know. Shout out 317.
Nick Martin is by far the most talented center in the league, so love watching how he just commands an offense. So those are probably my picks.
God, I love that, and I believe in the Vegas colors this year. Yeah. The black and silver.
Yeah.
God, I absolutely love that. The Raiders. Give me the Chris Berman. The Raiders.
Just win, baby. All right, Nathaniel asks, where would you rank Carson Wentz in the NFL and AFC South right now without him playing a down for the Colts he recognizes? Also rank Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner, both in the NFL and AFC South. I'm assuming at their position.
Okay, that's a lot. I'll go Wentz second best in the AFC South.
Okay.
I'm assuming Deshaun Watson isn't playing football, but that would obviously change. A little bit above middle of the pack for the NFL, 12th-ish, 14-ish. Yeah. I don't know, 13. I don't know.
That's tough.
I'd have to look at a hard list. Buckner, one of the best in the NFL. I rank Leonard first. Yes, again, like I said earlier, needs to take some strides on rundowns, but when you find the ball, it kind of masks other things for me at linebacker because it's so rare. And when I'm talking find the ball, again, it's a combination of turnovers, sacks, tackles for loss, all those things. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Awesome. Brian asks, I've listened when you sat in for Dan's show. While Grixon did draft Ryan Kelly, T.Y., and Luck, he also had misses. Ballard also drafted Quincy Wilson, Rock Yassin, Ben Banogu, Terrell Basham, Zach Banner. Having your highest paid players who don't touch the ball doesn't seem like a long-term answer for the team. We also don't know how Wentz works out, or if he even will. There was a reason why Philly let him go without charging much. Ballard seems to be on a 10-year rebuild. Will the temperature heat up when the Jags win the division before the Colts do?
Oh, boy.
At what point will Reich and Ballard be accountable for results? Or, as fans, should we be okay with okay drafts? Are the Colts off-season champions?
I wonder what side of the ledger Brian's on here.
No kidding.
Jeez. I laughed at the Jags winning the division. And this is coming from someone that believes in Urban Meyer in the NFL. Again, listeners of this podcast know that we use the word accountable a whole lot, and it is time. We talked about it last year. The time is now to prove you can win without Andrew Luck. You won 11 games. That's pretty good. Now the time is here to win a division and win in January. This is not a hard division, folks. Like, this is one of the easier divisions in football. Arguably the easiest division in football. I mean, obviously the NFC East could probably take that crown, but this is one of the easier ones. And it's here. It's just wild to think that you're approaching 8-9 years without winning a division, without having a home playoff game, like things like that. We're not used to that, certainly in our lifetime, for a lot of Indianapolis Colts fans that are under the age of 30 or 35, something like that. So this is a prove it time. This is an absolute prove it time. I know that I've made this analogy before. I didn't have seat warmers in my car until a few years ago, but we're not going like level 3 on the seat warmer, but the seat warmer's on, and it's on when it's 90 degrees outside. Like it's the NFL. This isn't CYO camp. So got to win the division. Got to win some games in January, or else you should be on the hot seat. I mean, that's just how it is. Mm-hmm. Frank Reich and Chris Bauer have done a lot of good, but it's a bottom line business. And you haven't gotten done enough for the standard that Jim Irsay has created and wants this organization to be at. And fans should want that. And fans should believe that their organization's capable of that. So, yeah, accountability is here, Brian. You don't need to worry about it.
Alrighty. Randall, I don't know if this is Randall's second question of the pod or a new Randall, but Randall acknowledges it's slow time in football land. So here's his July question, early July question.
Right. This could be interesting.
He wants an all-time Colts dodgeball team. So you need 7 guys. Who are they? His opinion is Luck and Carson are obvious for me, but other QBs may get smoked by a good ball because they can't move. Jacoby just wouldn't throw the ball over the line. So
Randall.
For him. And then he says, keep it up with the content through the dog days of summer. Shout out to Chris Presley. You guys are dope.
Oh, man. Yeah. I appreciate that, Randall. Shout out to Chris Presley. He'll be back next week on the pod. Frankly, Jacoby's got a cannon. I want him on my dodgeball team. Yeah. Like, seriously. I mean, he's got a rocket. So
maybe Eason.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, boy, I get a lot of big arm QBs. All right, let's go present day Colts. I want Leonard. I called Zach Pascal earlier. Ross Leber's a very solid dodgeball player, borderline great dodgeball player. I want Nyheim Hines. I mean, we all watched him flip in the end zone. Can you imagine him diving, getting out of balls? So if I got 7 on this year's team, I'm going Wentz, Leonard, Pascal, Hines. Let's go Pittman. Julian Blackmon and Kenny Moore.
Yeah.
I just think those are athletes.
Yeah.
I think those are athletes. If I'm going in, if I can dial it back, Randall, let's go with Bobby Sanders.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking Bob Sanders, too.
Yeah.
Didn't you say EJ Speed is just a specimen?
Yeah, he is. That's a great point. He is a specimen of an athlete. Don't know about his arm.
Yeah.
I think, I actually really like that team. I don't know if I really like that team. If I can take them to some sort of dodgeball camp or competition, I like that team. I hope I'm not missing anybody.
Dodgeball finals in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
All right. Gary has a long one here. So
we got 2 more, folks.
Yeah, 2 more. Gary says, apologies in advance for the question in the form of a novel. This is for you and Chris, so Chris can chime in next week, and seemed like a good off-season question. So for Colts and Vols,
Chris,
for Colts,
a big Tennessee Volunteer fan.
For Colts, Vols, and ND, this is the first question. Ideal food and beverage for the games. I'm fond of wings and Fireball whiskey after each TD, which explains his gibberish tweets during the game. So that's the first one. Let's start there.
Should we start there?
Yeah.
Okay. Ideal food and beverage for the games. For my Irish Ross, I'll have a beer or 2, but I'm not eating during the game. I can't commit myself to the toilet at any point during the game. I'm too nervous to consume food. You can't be worried about that. So for me, I'll eat before, I'll eat after. The halftime, I might enjoy a little time on the toilet, but I can't get too caught up in food. And I know that's sacrilegious, but I can't do it.
Yeah. Fireball whiskey's a very aggressive play during
Wow, that sounds like you're a Tennessee Volunteer fan with how that program's been here lately. Sorry, Chris Presley, that was not a shot at you, but dude, SEC, there's different animals.
Yeah.
What are you? Colts game's on. What's Ross Leber's eating and drinking?
I don't eat either. I would say that if I eat anything, it's more of like a tailgate style before.
Okay.
I do love eating wings on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Or Saturday if my Hoosiers are playing. But yeah, I would just go with a couple Coors Lights.
Yeah.
Maybe an IPA depending on the
nice.
time of year.
Yeah.
A little brisk fall air, get a nice IPA in you.
Yeah.
All right. His second one is apparel. is the question. So on Saturdays, he's sporting his IU stuff. If they're playing, and the Noles, sounds like he's a Florida State fan. So if they're
Gary,
playing,
you're just fans of everybody.
Yeah, if they're playing at the same time, I mix both. Colts week 1 is the TY home jersey. Then move into crucial catch wearing during the month and salute to the service.
Wow, he's on it.
Wow. Kevin, I noticed during your Instagram live, you don't seem to be sporting Colts stuff.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to be objective here, so I can't be rocking too much Colts gear. I don't have any Cloney Dungy or Tuba Guy gear. I'm trying to think of the other diehard Colts fans out there. I do rock a nice Notre Dame shirt.
Yeah.
I've got a couple in the closet there. I know you have a good IU go-to polo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Colt jersey?
I don't. If I'm at home, I have a Colts hoodie that I'll throw on. But I'm not really a big apparel. Like, apparel's not really a superstition thing for me.
We need you to be honest. Have you ever painted your face for a football game?
I've never painted my face.
Okay, that's okay. We know where his fandom lies, folks. Yeah. We thought he was going to par the last 2 to break 80, but no, he just went 5-5, and he's going to think about that.
If that's what it takes to return on this pod, I'll paint my face for a Colts game this year.
We might go chest. Yeah. Never know. Anything else from Gary?
Yeah, sorry. So he has 2 more.
Okay.
So third is any game day superstitions. He says that he has to wear stuff on away day, or he has to wear away stuff on away days and home stuff on home days.
Holy shnikes.
And drink out of his team's glasses during the games.
Boy, Ross, you are superstitious. I am not. Shout out to Mr. Zadonis back in high school golf days who made voodoo dolls of our opponents. I'm not. I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm not superstitious. I just believe in jinxes.
So are you one of those like, hey, we changed seats and they just scored, get back in your seats?
No, not at all. But I believe you can speak things into existence, which you've done a few times on this pod. All right, last one from Gary.
This could be it for Ross.
Don't wish the Colts would do an alternative or throwback uniform? That's his question. Don't you wish?
Yes.
Trusting you both had a happy Independence Day, and thanks for being my desert island pod.
Thank you, Gary. In all seriousness, your loyalty is second to none, so appreciate that. And happy 4th to everybody out there. Hope they had a safe and patriotic 4th. Yes, throwback. Dude, give it to me. I'm not saying every week, but give it to me once a year. Mm-hmm. Alternate color, something. I know the Thanksgiving ones I really liked a few years ago. Well, I guess a lot of years ago. What was that? Falcons or Lions? I kind of forget the game now, but I hate the color rush.
Yeah,
I do. I mean, it's just like, you're just like a Smurf. Really, give me a little, throwback logo, maybe an off blue. Some of those black jerseys I see, I absolutely love.
Yeah, give me like a Johnny Unitas series.
Yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I know Johnny U hates the Indianapolis Colts because they moved from Baltimore, but seriously, give me some. I don't know, call them the Raymond Berry jerseys. Yeah, give them to me.
All right, last one here from Matt. Hey, Kevin, I listened to the segment with you and Mike Wells on the Docket Show yesterday, and I love the golf talk about great courses in Indiana. A question I have for you, maybe next week's pod, if you could sneak it in, would be the top 3 least favorite courses in Indiana.
Geez.
I'm a golfer on a budget, so I would be curious if I've played any of those that you haven't liked. Keep it up, man. Appreciate the content.
Well, thank you, Matt. Boy, here goes any chance of getting on these golf courses. The golf course I hate the most in Indianapolis is Maple Creek over on the east side, which I feel bad because one of my former high school teammates, I think, runs it, or is the GM there, who's a great individual. But I just can't stand the golf course. Just way too tight, way too funky holes. And sure, I probably never played well in high school there, so that's where a bit of my biased venom comes from. Mm-hmm. Hate Maple Creek. I know, Ross, you've played here a lot. I can't stand Saddlebrook. I'm like, did they fit 13 golf holes, or did they fit 18 golf holes in property for 12 golf holes? Like, what? I mean, but you know what? We should be grateful for public golf courses and inside of 465, so I should be grateful for Saddlebrook. Yeah, those are the 2 that come to mind. Yeah. What else?
I think South Grove for me.
Oh, I love South Grove.
Yeah, see, South Grove for me is just I think I hate it because it always gets the best of me.
Yeah.
It's a course that I feel like I should go out and shoot sub 80 consistently, but it always gets the best of me.
Sneaky. Those 2 par 4s on the back 9, 13, 14 are long. 15's got the tabletop green.
Yep.
I believe I saw a video of a car on South Grove's golf course the other day.
I saw that too.
Police officers, God bless the Grove.
Yeah, I think if I'm gonna get my ass kicked by a golf course, I want to pay money to get my butt kicked. I don't want to.
That's fair.
I don't want to go pay $15 at South Grove and leave with a 92. So I'd probably go South Grove, but Matt,
if you're looking for budget and good golf, because that's such a negative question, I think Twilight Raid at Trophy Club is the best deal in the city.
Cannot beat it. Shout out Trophy Club.
Unbelievable. I think Fox Prairie and Noblesville is an underrated course if you're willing to drive a little bit. Indy, it's tough. I think Smock on the south side is sneaky solid as well.
We played Sarah Shank the other day.
Oh, the Shanker.
The Shanker.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I used to play there. Yeah, it's got some elevation.
That and its sister course,
Pleasant Run.
Pleasant Run.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 3 if you're balling on a budget. You're gonna have a long round, but not bad tracks.
I mean, there's nothing better than Coffin. You know, I keep my yard probably in better shape than Coffin keeps their golf course in shape, but still, I mean, you talk about layout, nothing like Coffin.
Yeah.
The 10th and 18th tee shots at Coffin literally are the hardest. They'd be the hardest tee shots on the PGA Tour.
Yeah. I mean, Coffin is bang for your buck. Can't beat Coffin.
Cannot beat it. For those of you that made it through the end of the golf pod part of it, thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. Ross, any last thoughts?
In the last few podcasts, I've given a lock.
Oh,
a betting lock.
Here we go.
I think my lock is Italy to go through to the Euro Finals.
Wow, that's big time.
That's my lock, fans.
Shout out to Nicholas Gahn.
I'm 3-0 on these locks.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, for those that are listening, you got to get this in by 3 p.m. Eastern. So I got to get this podcast up quick. So tomorrow's game is England-Denmark, Ross. Can we get a pick there for those that are listening on Wednesday?
I find myself rooting for England because, they just haven't been there in so long, and I appreciate their fan base. But Denmark's the feel-good story.
Oh, yeah. The guy almost died.
Yeah. I think my betting instinct is taking England, but I think I'm going to be rooting for Denmark.
Yeah, we took Denmark a few days ago, and I said if they win, I would name, if we have a second kid, Dane Bowen, and if we win, or if we potentially have a third kid, Denise Bowen, to honor the Danes. So shout out to Denmark. That is where my rooting interest is. All right, Ross, we could see you in a couple weeks, so we'll put your feet to the fire maybe then for an over-under on Colts wins. But as always, you come out of the bullpen and get out of a jam, so thank you.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We've got a round of golf potentially tomorrow. Will you be breaking 80, Ross?
Yes.
That's confidence. I love that about Ross Lovers. I'm Kevin Bowen signing off. Everybody, hope you had a great 4th. If you're enjoying time away, please do, and we'll be back next week on Kevin's Corner.